What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to talk about draft prospect George Karlaftis. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to be a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, it's either $2.99 or $4.99. You definitely can hit the join button here on my YouTube channel. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So like I stated in today's video, I do want to talk about draft prospect George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis played his college ball at the University of Purdue. He is a defensive end. He goes about 6'4", 275 pounds. And I do think that the Falcons should consider taking George Karlaftis in this upcoming draft if we decide to go with an edge rusher. George Karlaftis puts me in the mind of Trey Hendrickson, the New Orleans Saints, and now Cincinnati Bengal, who did play in the Super Bowl. He led the Cincinnati Bengals in sacks. George Karlaftis is a very big and powerful man. He's not one of the twitchy type defensive ends. He doesn't have a lot of speed. He's a defensive end that wins with power. He's a very powerful defensive lineman, a guy that plays with has a great motor, is a guy that's very aggressive. And to me, one of the biggest things that I noticed when I watched his tape is he's really good in the run game and stopping the run, setting the edge. He was very disruptive in the run game. I think he's going to be a very solid NFL player, depending on which team he ends up getting drafted by. But I definitely think that he'll be a solid player if the Falcons decide to draft him. I do think that he has a lot of upside. He's not one of the sexier defensive ends, as I mentioned in this draft. He's not one of those guys that you're going to drop into coverage. He's really not built to be like a linebacker. He's an old school defensive end where you put him on the edge, kind of like a Patrick Kearney that used to play with the Atlanta Falcons as well, and kind of like a John Cominsky that's currently on our team. To me, him and John Cominsky's, their game or their body type are both around the same size as far as height and weight. And I definitely think that George Karlaftis could be one of those guys that the Falcons should look at the combine and definitely consider drafting. If Kayvon Thibodeau is not available at 8, if Aiden Hutchinson is not available, which he probably won't be available because a lot of people are saying he's the top edge rusher in the draft. George Karlaftis is one of those names that have been thrown around as possibly being one of those guys that the Falcons should take a look at, or he's been thrown around as one of the top defensive end or edge rushers in the league or in this draft. Personally, I think that George Karlaftis, what makes him valuable is that he's a guy that you can move up and down the line because of his size, being 6'4", being 275 pounds. Not only can he rush from the edge, but he's also a guy that can play the 3-tech where you can slide him inside on downs where you want to bring in multiple pass rushers. He's a guy that you can move around on the defensive line, similar to a Grady Jarrett, similar to an Aaron Donald because of his size. And we know Dean Pease has background in his career where he was coaching the New England Patriots, who believe in having those bigger defensive ends and bigger offensive linemen and defensive linemen. And that's something that I think that George Karlaftis could bring to the table. Our Falcons, for the whatever reason, the last couple years when Dan Quinn was here, we know he didn't really believe in having those bigger defensive ends. He liked those twitchy guys, the guys that win with speed, like Vic Beasley. Tat McKinley was a guy that liked to use the bull rush, but he was another guy that was a lighter defensive end / outside linebacker. So we know that for whatever reason, Dan Quinn preferred speed over power. Personally, I think if we did take a guy like George Karlaftis, we could possibly change the narrative as far as the Falcons going with the smaller defensive lineman type players, the twitchy, quick guys coming off the edge, because George Karlaftis is one of those guys, like I said, is very old school. Like I said, he plays with a very high motor, but he's a guy that uses power. He does a lot of bull rushes and things of that nature. Good with using his hands. Good with stopping the run and being on the edge. And if you're looking for that traditional defensive end, I don't think he'll be a guy, like I said, that you can drop into the flats. He's not a guy that you're going to want to have out in coverage pretty much at all. But he is a 3-down lineman where you can use him first to third down. Like you're not going to have to worry about him being a guy on the edge that can't hold up as far as in the run game. And that's one plus I do see with a guy like George Karlaftis. But you guys let me know what you think of George Karlaftis. Do you think the Falcons should take him at 8? Or do you think that the Falcons should trade back? Personally, I wouldn't take George Karlaftis at 8 because I think that that's too high. But I would trade back. And if he's still on the draft board at that point, once you trade back, he is a guy that I like. I do think that he's a guy, like I said, that will give the Falcons a different flavor as far as what we've done in the past when it comes to edge rushers over the last 5 to 6 years, where we went with those guys that were, played with speed. George Karlaftis, like I said, is a guy that's going to beat you with power, is going to bull rush, and is going to be very disruptive in the run game. So that's the biggest thing that I noticed with George Karlaftis is his ability to live in the backfield and being able to stop the run. And I think that he's a guy that you can throw in the mix, because whoever you take at that first pick, even if it's Kayvon Thibodeau or David Ajabo, whoever you bring in, you're going to have to bring in multiple pass rushers. I've talked about it numerous times. You're not going to be able to just rely on, that one pass rush you bring in the draft to be that stud guy. You're going to have other guys around. Even if that guy is a stud, you're going to have guys around him. And we've seen that in the Super Bowl with Aaron Donald, them going out and getting Von Miller, them, adding pieces around Aaron Donald, the Leonard Floyds of the world. That's what we're going to have to do here in Atlanta. We're going to have to build around Grady Jarrett, who is rumored that he may be getting an extension. He's like pretty much that centerpiece on the defense, on the defensive line. So everything is going to be catered to, building around Grady Jarrett and bringing in guys that can assist him on the defensive line where he's not seeing double teams and triple teams on a consistent basis. You're going to have guys that can beat and win their one-on-one matchups. And I think that George Karlaftis could be one of those guys that's going to be disruptive and that's going to be able to win one-on-one matchups because of his power, because of his strength, and because of his high motor where he doesn't give up on plays. But he's a guy that plays, with his hair on fire, similar to, if you guys remember, Jared Allen, that used to play with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears and also the Carolina Panthers. That's who he puts me in the mind of. He puts me in the mind of a Jared Allen, Trey Hendrickson type of pass rusher. But with that being said, you guys let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of George Karlaftis possibly being that draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. It's always Falcons Nation. Rise up. Peace.